What's good, beautiful people? Welcome to Guerrilla Tactics, the only place where you commit guerrilla warfare to make change. Now, beautiful people, we here once again for another topic. But before we get started, I want to first say I truly apologize. It's been a minute since I last did a video. I did not forget about y'all on YouTube. It's just that I had so much going on. I had so much happening where like I had to get everything done and I had to take a hiatus, and I probably should have just left y'all with a little video letting y'all know I was gonna be gone for a little while, but I'm
back. I'm ready to get started, ready to handle business, ready for
you guys to have these discussions with me and have these talks with me, so on and so forth. I got a bunch of different things that we're gonna get into, and I just definitely want to talk to you guys. I'm gonna have interviews. I'm gonna be having conversations. I'm gonna be having conversations about political things and non-political things, and even things that people got opinions on, like like the values of women and their power, or any type of topics, whatever the case is. But I'm just ready to have this journey with you guys and just really have that full-on conversation, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, like I just wanted to apologize to you guys for not being around or not putting up any content for a while. I was even slowing down on Instagram and and stuff like that, but I'm back full throttle, ready to handle business, and we're gonna be doing this. But before we get started with all that, guys, I want you guys to hit that subscribe button. Definitely please subscribe to my channel. Definitely hit the comments to any of the videos that I have already putting up. If you haven't seen or new to Guerrilla Tactics, go to Guerrilla Tactics on YouTube. Put Guerrilla Tactics men's do's and don'ts. It should pop right up. Go to the first video, go all the way up, see the progress, see how things worked out. And if you want an easier way of getting there, go to my Instagram, Guerrilla Tactics, on my Instagram as well. And I think it's Guerrilla Tactics 24. And go to my link tree. And when you go to my link tree, it's going to take you right to all my links of, where Guerrilla Tactics is between Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, any type of platforms that I might have. Beautiful people, please, after you subscribe, like all my videos. Come on now, it only takes a second. Just shoot a like, you know what I'm saying? Bring. Just hit a little like button, you know what I'm saying? Show me some love. If you guys want any topics that you guys want me to cover or anything like that, definitely shoot it in the comment bar or hit my DMs on Instagram. And let's just get started, all right? So the first video that we're going to be doing, the first video in a long time that I'm going to be doing is actually called Power. And we're going to be talking about the values of power and the understanding of what it means and why it is what it is. Because sometimes, what power is based off the contingencies of status and power and wealth and influence, stuff like that. So what is power in its purest self? And that's what we're going to be talking about, all right? So let's get started.
Already know who it is. It's your boy.
I must admit, it never ceases to amaze me how brainless you can be. You've lost your weapon. Why are you just standing there? Ichigo! What's the difference between a king and his horse? What the hell are you saying? I'm not talking about obvious stuff, like one's an animal and one's a person, or one has 2 legs and one has 4. Form, ability, and power. That's what's puzzling. If their form, ability, and power are exactly the same, why is it that one becomes the king and leads them into battle, while the other becomes the horse and carries the king? So what's the characteristic that distinguishes these 2 beings? There's only one answer. Instinct!
Okay, beautiful people, let's get started. So the topic that we're going to be doing right now is called power. And I wanted to cover this topic because I think there's not a controversy, but there's a lack of understanding on what power is. There's a lack of understanding on what gives a person power. So I want to go through the different variations of what power is. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the status of power. And that's one of the biggest things I'm going to be talking about in this video. Power in itself can either be a substance or an action. You understand? The substance gives you a certain status of power, where you can pretty much dominate over anything or anyone that are around you. And then you have the other stance, which is the action. The action is what you're doing to give you the status of power. But I want to talk about the status of power in particular today because it's actually very important. And one of the examples which you saw inside of the intro of my video is the values of who is king, right? And it's not necessarily saying this is a king and that's not a king, but saying who's in dominance over what. And I wanted to go into, and that's a status, because when you look at it, a king and a horse, right? A king has a status and power over his people. The horse has a status and power over its environment, right? The king and the horse are in the same standing. They're in the same stance. But the king is sitting on the horse. Who's in charge? The king is. The person. The person's in charge because they're dominating over the other force and manipulating that force's actions, right? But why is it like that? What gives the person the ability and the right of control over the other? Simple. It's the action and the status. You understand? Breaking it down into the format. Human beings were designed to do multiple different things, and we're designed to adapt to their environment. So we take control over the things that we are involved in, right? So, you know, we adapt, and we learned how to walk on 2 feet. We learned how to use our hands. We learned how to cultivate and build. We learned how to dominate other animals so that they could be used for our likeness between horses, dogs, cats, all that different type of stuff, right? Because of how we adapt and how we grew and evolved in humanity, you understand? Versus a horse, where a horse is stuck in its status, in its stasis of what it can do. I'm an animal, I run, I feed, I drink water, I run again. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of stagnant in this process of evolution and what it has to do. You understand? But that doesn't mean it's weak, because a horse is very powerful. It's just that the horse in itself has a set standard or a set motion that it's involved in, whereas humans are able to adapt. And because we were able to adapt, we gained a level of status. Status meaning we can now, we upgraded to something different, or it was given a different title because of our ability to adapt and our ability to manifest things with our hands and so on and so forth in our actions. So the person dominating over the horse, because the horse has no extra power to dominate over us. See what I'm saying? You're not gonna see a horse saying, "Oh no, you're not sitting on my back. Come here, let me sit on yours." Like, you're not seeing that. You understand? But the values of it changes though when you're dealing with certain things. Now that's just a horse. Now if you're talking about a human being trying to tame a lion, the lion, yes, to degrees is gonna follow those orders because you have trained it to throughout those years, from it being a cub all the way going up to it being the grown lion that it is. But that animal instinct is still there. So when a lion ends up biting or mauling the trainer that it had for so many years, is because it's still intact with that instinct that it once had. So the power that lion had is still intact with it. And that instinct over time begins to take over. So in the beginning of the intro, you heard how Ichigo was saying, what is the value between the king and the horse? And he said it's control and power. And that power comes from instinct. So yeah, it's your instinct and your innate ability to follow that instinct, which determines the status of who's in control and who's not. The moment the other one slows up or lacks up in that control, the other force can now take over. So if you notice, even with a horse, yes, the man is in power because it's on top and it controls the horse. But once the horse starts going buck wild and start going crazy, and that man gets flustered or loses control over the horse throws it off of its back. So it regains its force and power. You understand? So I'm bringing this up because when you look at it in societal aspects, when individuals are walking through life, we're walking through life trying to find a seeds of control so that we can have a balance in our life. And a lot of times what happens is when we get set in a certain notion of control, we think that that's all we needed. No, you have to continuously evolve in order to maintain what it is that you built. So, good example, when you're living with your family, your mom and the whole nine as a child, you're good. You don't have to pay no bills. You don't have to do none of that. And on top of that, you can do whatever you want. But as you start to get older, the responsibilities begins to change. Your status changes because you now became an adult, and now you have an ability to understand what it is that you have to do to live on your own. So naturally what tends to happen is your parents starts to put more responsibility on you. Now listen, you've been in my house, it's on the 3rd, you're 14 years old, it's about time for you to get a job. And yeah, you can't get a full-blown job at certain organizations and stuff like that, but we can do it in a smaller way. We're going to start giving you chores. Then you start having these chores and you're going to start getting an allowance for those chores. That's the beginning portions of that, you understand? But you don't have your own ultimate power yet because you haven't gotten to that point yet. But you are elevated in your status to handle more than what you were handling before. So then as time goes on, you start to get older and older and older, and the responsibilities become more intense. You understand? Now, say you're living on your own. Your mom got you to the point where now you have your own job, you have your own apartment, and you're handling your own business. You have a level of power and status. And on top of that, let's say that you was at the job for many years, so you think that you're straight. I'm good, I got a balanced life, I'm making good money, I don't got to worry about nothing. But then you get a partner. Now the amount of efforts that you put in is now split. Because you have to put the efforts within inside of what you're doing. But you also have to put efforts into this new person in order to allow them to feel as if they can be communed into your life, right? So you're pushed up in your status even more. Now you got to find a balance in life between the two forces, right? But then say you get fired. Say you lost your job. And say you couldn't pay your bills. And because you couldn't pay your bills, you got evicted. And because you got evicted and you couldn't handle your business and you couldn't get yourself back on your feet, you lost the girl. Now you're homeless. You lost your status. You were pushed back to the bottom. You understand? The life shifted on you. And that's what I mean by power. Power isn't just a person dominating another person. Power isn't just a person giving you a level of responsibility. Power is an enigma of and it's a shift of handling and balancing your life and not balancing your life. It's more of a thing inside yourself, you understand? So once you became homeless, you have two options. You're either gonna use your force and your power that you have, which is your ability to commune with other individuals and your ability to build and so on and so forth, or you're gonna give in. The thing shifted on you. You was now in control. You had that power. You were the king over your life, over the balance of your life. But then it shifted on you once things started to go wrong. So what is the difference between a king and its horse? The difference is that the king can overdominate a horse and apply the horse for a function that the king needs it for, but only if that innate instinct is commune. You understand? Same thing when it comes down to life. A lot of times when we're dealing with life and we're walking around and we're trying to find our place and find our way and find what we want to be and so on and so forth, we think that in order to make it happen, in order to make the balance and make it fit, we have to follow a set standard. Oh, I gotta get a high-end career. I gotta be a lawyer. I gotta be a doctor. I gotta be a nurse. I gotta be a practitioner. I gotta be an entrepreneur. I gotta do this, that, and the third. But you never put in the thought process of your dream or your passions or anything like that. So here you are putting all your effort and all your time into building a set position of life, and you think that that's the best option for you. Let's look at it. Since we're talking about power, let's look at even the rich go through it. The rich go through it probably more than we do and worse, if you think about it. So I could be a rich person, right? I'm working in this crazy huge company and organization and corporation and stuff
like that. I got my own office, I got a company car, I got all these different things, I'm making millions.
Right? So here you are, probably the best employee they had on the force, on the job, or whatever you're doing. The next thing you know, they lay you off. The crazy part is they didn't lay you off because you were bad at the job. They laid you off because you was overqualified. Like I remember when I used to like apply for certain jobs, they would tell me legitimately like, yo, we would love to have you for our company, this, that, and third, but you're overqualified for this position and this, that. And in my mind, I'm like, overqualified? What are you talking about? But you can be overqualified. Being overqualified in a position of something or a part of something means that you're too expensive. You're way too expensive for them. They cannot pay you. You know what I'm saying? Your qualifications are so high that they have to pay you a certain amount to fit those qualifications, and they can't. And a lot of times, a lot of rich individuals who have been in these corporations and these high companies and stuff like that get laid off because they can't afford to pay you. So your power and your ability to be the king over that circumstance changes. You lost your job. You no longer can support your family. And you no longer can support the lifestyle that you're building. You understand? And you get stuck. Now it's like, how do I even begin to try to fix that? Because in your mind, I have to get the same amount or greater in order to fix that. I can't go to a normal job after being in that type of a career. I just can't. I need something greater. I need something better than what I had, or I need the same thing. So when you're looking for these set jobs and looking for these set career portions, trying to build and get yourself back together, you're looking for what's in that same status. You understand? But a lot of times you're overqualified. So what tends to happen? You either got to go back to the bottom, or you can find what it is that you had and rebuild on that, or you got to start all over. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't want to start over because I had this for so long, and if I start over, it's not going to fit my lifestyle. But you have to live in your means, and sometimes your means change. You understand? So you have to know the value behind that. So the value between a king and a horse is the same value between humanity and life. Humanity can try to govern itself and build as much as possible to be ahead. But that doesn't mean life cannot kick in and change the narrative. So power isn't just a dominance over something or someone. Sometimes power is dominance over your own individual life and your own consumptions. Now, a good example of what I'm talking about is like the last few days I've been looking online because I was doing a lot of research, trying to come up with more topics, stuff like that. And I happened to see online, it was 50 Cent talking about one of these deals that he was supposed to have. I think it was with, what was it? It was Vitamin Water. And they were trying to give him a deal of like 30 million or something like that. But he declined their offer. What he wanted to do is he wanted to invest in the company, and I forgot what he called it, but it was the pin, and he wanted the pin. And what that means is that what's the value of your product and how much money can you make within a certain time. So he wanted to invest in the company instead of just taking their money. The company was having a hard time at first because they were like, yo, I don't know if I could invest in this, allow this person to invest in us and be a part of us, because all they do is rap about shooting and this, that, and the third, and he got shot 9 times. I don't know if we want that kind of energy in our company. So 50 Cent switched the narrative. So instead of him conforming to the king, what he decided to do is, in his instinct, he made business. So he approached the corporation, their higher corporate office, and he came in legit, and he shocked them. So in their mind, they were like, yo, you know what? We definitely gonna keep you, because what we thought you were is not what you are. You actually changed the narrative. So whereas he would have ended up being the horse in a situation, he became the king. You understand? There was another one he talked about where he was supposed to take a deal. I think it was a deal of what was it, $50,000, and him and somebody else was talking about it, and it was a deal of $50,000. And 50 Cent told the other person, he said, listen, don't take that deal. Take 30,000 plus the pin. So, because it was based off his own record, like whether his record sales was going to go up there or not. He had faith that his record was going to blow. So he told his partner, he said, look, take the 30 and the pen. Trust me. But his partner decided to do him dirty. He ended up not only charging 50 Cent, but he also took the 50,000. Then the crazy part was 50 Cent was no longer a part of that. He gave that dude the money that he owed him, and then the pen that he thought that was gonna happen ended up hitting 1.3 million. So that person lost out while 50 Cent ended up gaining. So that's the value of power. That's what I'm talking about. He could have conformed and been the horse and just took the 50,000. But instead, he said, no, I see something greater in this situation. I'm going to take a small portion of that. I'm going to take the 30,000 so I can sit on that, and I'm going to have faith in my product. By doing that, he gained way more, 1.3 million plus 30,000, whereas his friend only made 50,000. Crazy. So it's all about instinct. It's the power within yourself. It's your own innate thought process of, this is what I got to do to make something happen. You understand? So I just wanted to bring this topic up to you guys because it's important to understand that. And a lot of times when it comes down to the struggle of power, we struggling at anything we do. But too much of something, too much of a consumption of something can also destroy you. And I'm going to explain that. So yeah, too much of a consumption of something can also destroy you. And I want to explain that. So a lot of times when you want money, say you want to build a profit, you know, and stuff like that, sometimes you can put yourself in a position to create a status of something and be so wrapped up in that you're not paying attention to the steps and the things you need to do to move forward. So I'm going to use 50 Cent as another example. Back in the beginning when 50 Cent was, you know, already at a certain height inside of his business, a young cat named Lloyd ended up coming into the business. And no disrespect to Lloyd, because I actually like Lloyd's music, but he didn't have a business mindset at the time. So 50 was talking about how he came to Lloyd one time and he told Lloyd, hey, listen, one way that you can improve your business to go onto the social medias, go onto Instagram, put pictures of yourself and then put captions of lyrics on the bottom. And that way you can get more in tune with your fans and more in tune with individuals who are trying to listen to your music, and it'll probably increase your business. Lloyd Banks told him that he think that was corny and he didn't want to do that. And he said, oh, Biggie and Tupac didn't do that back in the day, why should I? So 50 Cent was pretty much like in the mindset of like, come on, my man, like Tupac and Biggie wasn't even around when this started. You know what I'm saying? You think that Tupac was still going to be wearing jumpers with the scarf around the head in this day and age from, you know, if he got, say he didn't die and he came up to the position that we are in now, you think he still would have been the same exact way? No, he probably would have been wearing suits or wearing graphic shirts or change up his whole style and probably been on the Instagram interacting with people and so on and so forth. But in 50 Cent's mindset, for him to not want to do something that could possibly elevate his business, he already was as far as he could go in the business. See, because when people, a lot of times when artists go into music and stuff like that, and this is a good example, they think that, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm going to make this music, I'm going to make this money. No. 9 times out of 10, if 10 times out of 10, the artist isn't making the money they're supposed to make. Matter of fact, when they get further in the business and they understand what it is to move in the business, you come to realize that it's not even your music that's going to get you all that money. You see what I'm saying? In fact, you're not even making your money from your music or whatever the case is. So, oh yeah, I got all these sales for my album and this, that, and the third. You're not getting that money. 9 times out of 10, you're getting it through records if you get records. You understand? They take their percentages and all that. If you make your money off your records and different stuff like that. But other than that, you're not making money off of you just making music. And then after making music, oh, dang, I'm blowing up. They made all this money off my records and this, that, and third. My album, 58 million plus, 100,000 million plus, and so on and so forth, and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, you're not making that money. They might give you a percentage, but you ain't making that. You understand? I think Shaq also brought that up as well. He said that one of the biggest things that he had a flaw in back in the day was that he spent all his money thinking that was the money he made. Whereas he made 500,000, they only gave him 10. So here he thought he had 500,000 to spend on or work on. I think it was 500,000. It was a high number, but he didn't even get that. He got 10,000, 100,000 or whatever he made. It just wasn't what he was supposed to make. This dude went off spending. Yeah, it was millions. He went and spending off all his money on a house. Then got mad at this guy because the guy made it seem like he didn't make no money. So he decided to buy 2 cars instead of 1 because they was wondering how he was going to afford all this and blah, blah, blah. So off his ego, he decided to buy more cars. Then blew his whole check and didn't even realize it. You understand? So here you think you're going to make all this money. And here you thought you made all this money off of something that you did, whether it's playing basketball, making music, or whatever. But that's not even where you're making that money from. You have to build a business within the business. You gotta get your social medias up, and you're still getting paid off of the social medias through the different ads and so on and so forth that you get involved in. That's where you're making that money from. So when you're dealing with being a king inside of your circumstance, between the king and the horse is the business, you are the king. The king is trying to make a balance within inside of the business. You have to know the ins and outs to the business. Because if you don't know the ins and outs to the business, you're going to lose. So sometimes the consumption of, oh, I got all this status and people are looking at me and I'm making all this money, it tends to draw you into doing things that are not going to benefit you. Another person, I forgot his name, but he was in an interview and they were asking him how come he don't fly for private jets and this, that, and the third, first class, world class, and all that. He said, I don't do all that because I don't need it. I don't need all that. 85% of his profit is saved because he's not spending all that money. I don't need a private first class jet. I can go on a regular class jet, have all the sleep I need to get where I gotta go, and save way more money. He said, I don't buy real diamonds and jewelry and stuff like that for my videos. I'm wearing fake jewelry, all of that for my videos. Like, I don't need a Rolex 85 and all that type of stuff just to look good and have all this clout, but then be broke. So the consumption of something, it could be too much. So sometimes you could go into a source of power and it'd be way too much on you to the point where you lose focus on what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So here, I'm making all this money being a rapper and doing that in the third. The point of it all was for you to make that money, but you lost your focus on the money and started focusing on the clout. So what's the difference between the king and the horse? It's instinct. You understand? Your instinct to draw towards that crowd overweighs your instinct to make that money. Power. And sometimes your influence can change and alter other people. That's through your own energy. Eminem made a song about it called Stan and was talking about it. This person loved Eminem so much and this, that, and the third, to the point where the things he was rapping in his lyrics, he wanted to follow it. Oh yeah, I'm cutting myself too and this, that, and the third, blah, blah. To come to find out, Eminem saying, yo, I'm just talking out of expression. I'm not really slashing my wrist. And for those that suicide sensitive or anything like that, this may not be the video for you if you're feeling triggered or anything like that. I am not trying to place any negativity within this video. I'm just trying to explain the values of what it means to get too much of something and the value of what it means to follow something and it not being something that will benefit you. So if this video is too much for you or anything like that, I'm really raw. I talk about the raw conversation of things. This may not be the video for you if it does trigger you. Just wanted to say that. But going back to what I was talking about, he's not really doing that. He's not doing that type of stuff. You understand? He's just rapping about that type of stuff. But your power, it sometimes can move people. Just from the word of mouth. You have power in the word it speaks. It says you have power of life and death in the tongue. You could speak life and death through this. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. So you have to be very, you have to pay attention to what it is that you're doing and what it is you're trying to feed the people, because their consumption is going to create their reality. Especially if they feel that same type of way. You understand? So sometimes too much of something can feed you in the wrong way. You understand? That is power. It's the instinct of and the influence of. You understand? It's not just how much status you got. It's not just what you're doing in your actions and so on and so forth. The status of power comes from the influence of what you create. You understand? So I wanted to go into this topic because I feel like a lot of people didn't understand that. Both the business aspect, the personal aspect, the friend aspect, the lover aspect. We don't understand that what we put in is what we get back. You understand? So if I keep planting this seed, and I talk about the Bible, I love God. God is everything to me. So I'm always going to put him first. Thank you, God. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do all this. But it talks about planting seeds. Planting seeds are actions and thought processes. You understand? So by the time that I planted that seed, if it's a seed of negativity and I planted that flower is still growing, but it's going to either grow as a beautiful lily or sunflower, or it's going to grow as a rose with thorns. And it all depends on what you're placing in. And it's all about what you're placing in. You understand? So if I'm rapping about shooting and killing and doing all that and this, that, and the third, I'm already planting a seed. Now, what's watering that seed are the audiences that are consuming my music. So that flower starts to bloom. When it blooms, the consequences of what we planted are now placed into effect. Now, it could be that we inspired somebody, or in a positive manner, or we inspired them in a negative manner. And all that makes a big difference. So you have to be very mindful of what you're planting. And on top of that, you have to be mindful of what you're consuming, because your instinct is going to play a part of that influence. You understand? So I just wanted to go into that conversation with you guys because I feel like it was very, very important. And sometimes we get lost, and sometimes we do need to find a way out and find a way to move things in the right manner. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Listen, like, it was a great, great conversation. I want you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe to my videos, and please, most importantly, hit that notification bell and definitely hit all so you guys can get more of an alert of my content when I drop my content and so on and so forth. Again, I'm so sorry for all of y'all for taking so long to draw down another video. I owe you guys that apology because you guys are my fans, and I don't want you to think that I forgot about you guys. And I just want to tell you thank yous for all your support and so on and so forth. If you want to know more content, definitely shoot over to my Spotify, where I talk about more in-depth things in a longer rate. Where I know one of the things that I'm talking about is in a topic that I'm doing is called This Love, and I'm talking about the values of love and the different variations and steps that you take when you're going into those into a relationship or into love or anything like that. And definitely please tune in. And if you guys can, I have a support option for the Spotify as well. I usually shoot the link to people on my Instagram, so definitely subscribe to me on my Instagram and be ready for those alerts as well. But it's a subscriber type option where you guys can support my Spotify, and you guys can support my product, and so that I can build my product a little bit more, creating it more into a business, so I can have better technology to play some good videos out to you guys. You know what I'm saying? So definitely I want to give a shout out to my baby because she got me this new tablet, and this junk's been a blessing. I'm not even gonna lie. But definitely please, if you guys can, you guys can shoot my Cash App. You can shoot my my Spotify, hit the subscriber. It's $9.99 a month, $9.99 a month. And yeah, just please, if you guys could support me in any way. If you guys have any topics you guys want me to cover or anything like that, hit my DMs. If you guys want to be a part of the show, like, I do interviews. Like, if you look into my channel, you can see I did interviews with a couple of people. I also do interviews. If you guys want to be a part of the show, hit my DMs. Let me know what you want to do. Let me know what topic you want to cover, and we could definitely cover it. Other than that, I thank you all for tuning in, and God bless you. Love you. They don't know about the things we do. They don't know about the I love yous. But I bet you if they only knew, they would just be jealous of us. They don't know about the up all nights. They don't know I've waited my whole life just to find a love that feels this right. Baby, they don't know about, they don't know about